Hey, Weird Kid, and welcome to day 6 of Corona Cafe, your few minute escape from all the horrible news that's out there. Let's let it just be me and you here for a few minutes there, a little diversion from all this craziness that's going on in the world. So, today I was going to talk about my ventures in filmmaking. Um, like I said, I used to have this huge collection of. I used to have all these horror movies on DVD, rare ones on VHS. I used to have all these horror magazines, books. I had actual props and from films, from actual film props. I used to collect that stuff. I used to have a big autograph collection. But the other thing that I had that was really big was a Halloween setup. I used to put on a big haunt here at the house every year, and I'd have a little party, and we'd cook out and have a few cocktails and everything. And it was really popular in the neighborhood. People would come in droves. I mean droves. And I used to spend a lot of money on it every year between buying props and making my own props. Back then, before there was Spirit, there was Spencer's Gifts. So if people don't know, Spirit is a sister company to Spencer's Gifts. But when it was just exclusively Spencer's Gifts, I used to love to go there during Halloween because they had awesome props back then. The animatronics are not like they are today. They were much better quality. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ed Edmonds from Distortions Unlimited used to participate in some of those. They used to order some stuff from them. The quality was so much better. Then there was the company called Rubies that made animatronics. They were good quality. Now I don't know. It just seems like the quality is just not there anymore. They're kind of junky now. But anyways, I used to have this big setup, and after the market fell, after the market busted in I think it was '08. Um, it just seemed like Halloween died down. Not many people came anymore. And I was getting antsy. I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I've always ate, drank, and slept movies. And, as a kid, I used to watch so many movies and I used to study the language of film. Then it became more of enjoying horror movies too when I would buy a DVD of a film that I loved. I looked forward to the bonus features, the behind the scenes, like the making of, and if it was a movie that had practical effects, they would do like a little BTS of how they made the creatures and stuff like. I love that stuff. And then yeah, before long, I was fantasizing about making my own movies. Until one day, I just said, "Screw it," I'm gonna do this, and I ended up selling. I put all my props, all my Halloween props and stuff on Craigslist, and one guy answered the ad, and he was interested in all of it. And this was a guy that he decorated the entire inside of his house with Halloween props, and it stayed up 365 days a year. But one thing I found out about it is he said, "Oh, is there anything else you want? Like we can do maybe a partial cash trade." And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm in need of a movie camera and stuff." And he said, "Oh, I just happen to have one." And it was a mini DV, digital video that took these little cassettes to shoot. Not even the greatest. Uh, it wasn't even the greatest in digital. Um, it was good at the time. It was not a consumer grade camera. It was a commercial use camera. They used to use it in colleges and stuff in the media departments. Anyways, I just jumped at it because you know what? At that point in time, I had no resources, no money whatsoever, and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I don't care if even if I have to do it on a VHS camcorder like David the Rock Nelson. I was going to do it. So I ended up doing the trade and ended up coming with a good shotgun mic. And come to find out, though, I ended up becoming friends with this guy. And I might try to interview this guy one day because people, I don't think, no, this is just a little side story here. This guy was a huge fan of the horror host Dr. Paul Bearer from here in Florida. A lot of people throughout the United States know who Dr. Paul Bearer was because he was a celebrity among horror hosts. He was up there with Elvira, Count Gordeval, Svengoolie, Zachary, all that. He was in the big leagues, and he was actually even featured in Famous Monsters of Filmland a few times. Really popular horror host. I used to watch him, used to love him. Well, he passed away, and the network wanted to do reruns of the show. But the widower had asked them to please not do that. It was too painful, and so they respected her wishes and they shelved the show. Never showed it again. Well, all of his props and wardrobe, everything, the set, which was called Tenement Castle, went into storage and then just kind of died down and disappeared. Well, this friend of mine, I'm not going to name his name and stuff. I hope to interview him one day and show you all this stuff. Had approached her one day and started a dialogue with her, and come to find out she was ready to let all of it go, and it all went to one person. So there is a person right now in Florida that owns every single Dr. Paul Bearer prop. His wardrobe, his jacket, his glass eye ring, all the props from the set, all the little props like the cereal boxes and the food products that were, the names were changed to make it, comedic and everything. But anyways, so there was a connection made there. Anyways, the camera I got, I come to find out, was from a gentleman named Dennis Smithers Jr. And a feature film was shot on that camera called Bothered Conscience. And you can actually buy it. It's on DVD. A Bothered Conscience, and a feature film. And it was shot on that camera that I got. So that was a good omen. I was like, okay, a film's already been shot on this. Anyways, I ended up reaching out to this guy and became friends with him. And we're going to be doing interviews with him as well, because he's got another feature film that's coming out. And he's also going to be a sponsor of the show because he's going to come out with a horror comic series. And he's got a real interesting story to tell about what really happened to the Evil Dead cabin. Okay, we're gonna get into this later. Anyways, it's just a small world. I just wanted to tell you all that. But anyways, I took this camera. I had no money, no resources, nothing. I wrote a script called Dark Limbo, and then I just went out and with my mouth begged, pleaded, and tugged on people's heartstrings, and told them how much of a dream it was for me to make film. And because of that, with no money, I was able to get a car that we were able to crash into a tree. I was able to get the fire department to show up and do the Jaws of Life and an extraction without paying. An ambulance showed up, and they were doing the paddles, trying to revive the lead character, and I didn't have to pay for that. I had a cherry picker for aerial shots and all the sets and places to shoot, and sometimes free craft services. People sponsored and then of course all the actors. Overwhelming support, and then some of the early projects. Michael Dunsworth was he played the demon in Dark Limbo, and he went on to I think he did Burn Notice, and I know he was in the new Charlie's Angels. He's the banker in one of the scenes. He went on to do some stuff. He was in another feature film that I was involved with later on called Moment of Truth. Sean Genter, the lead character of Dark Limbo, my show. He was on Discovery Channel Shark Week. He was a victim that ended up getting eaten by a shark. He's been doing great. These guys have gone on to do some great things. Anyways, it took forever and a day of treading water, kick clawing, and fighting tooth and nail. Finally, I got this film done. and I only submitted it to one film festival, and amazingly, it was accepted, and it was shown on the big screen. Then it was shown in Fort Myers for an event at the, I want to say this correctly, I don't know if I am, at the Burns and Davis Art Center, which is in downtown Fort Myers. The name might not mean anything to you, but it is actually, you can see the front of this building in the opening sequences of George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. The little area where the art center is, where my film showed, there's a few little spots here and there where they filmed the opening sequence to Day of the Dead. It's pretty cool. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to show you these places one day. Anyways, so is the film great? Not by a long shot. I look at it now, looking back on it now, I look at it and I'm like, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that, I wish I had a better camera, long list, but it was my first film. Everyone has a first film. There's very rarely a first film that's fantastic or without problems. It is what it is. But the reason for that film was successful, and that was, I wanted to show that I'm willing to work and I'm very serious about this, and that that I wanted to do it, and it worked because people started approaching me. People started to ask me to help them on their projects, and the other thing is, I've got this little cameo in my movie Dark Limbo where I'm a mental patient. There's a scene where we're in a mental hospital, and I did it because I always liked when Alfred Hitchcock had his little cameos in his films. You'd see him on the elevator, or you always saw him in the movie. And so I wanted to do that. I didn't plan on being an actor. I wanted to be a director-producer. But there was an unforeseen byproduct of that as people approached me and said, hey, you're pretty good, and I'd like to give you a shot. Would you audition for this and that? And so the next thing I know, I'm involved in other people's films in front of the camera. I was in four feature films. One of them I had to go to Alabama. I played in a movie called Testament, a character called Skinny, a post-apocalyptic film that's out. I think you can even rent that on Prime right now, Testament. I was in another feature film called Moment of Truth that was shot in the downtown Fort Myers area. I played a thug in that film, a lot skinnier then, a lot skinnier. And I actually get hit by a car, and people thought I actually got hurt, They were gasping and stuff. Oh, my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I just threw my body on it and rolled off of it and stuff. And so you can see that movie. I think you can watch that on Prime, too. Then I was in a movie. It was a Hollywood production, had all-star cast in it, like Melanie Coyote. She played Rose in 2.5 Men. Chris Marquette. I got to hang out with Chris Marquette. Now Chris Marquette was he was the kid that was dying of cancer in Fanboys, where it was his dream to see Star Wars Episode 1 before he died of cancer. That was Chris Marquette, and he was also in Jason versus Freddy. In fact, when I met him, I said, man, I love Jason versus Freddy, and he's like, oh, wow, you're going way back. And it was cool. I got to hang out with these guys. I got to actually work in the art department on that project and be an extra. You can see me standing in front of Chris Marquette in one of the scenes, like, very briefly. I'm there, though. It was cool. It was a fun experience. Then I worked on another film, a zombie film, where I was a zombie extra. You can't really see me. And I did some props for it. And it had Jeremy Palco in it. Jeremy Palco was a character that was in The Walking Dead, and he survived, I don't know, it was a whole season or something. I didn't see, I actually ended up, I think I stopped after season 3. It's just because I just don't have time. That's why. It's like not that I'm not interested. Maybe one day I'll binge watch The Walking Dead, and then I'll finally get to see what Jeremy Palco did in it and stuff. But yeah, so I worked on that. I made props for another film called The Hunt, where I made a bow and arrow set and a primitive knife and a quiver, and I made primitive arrows with the feathers and the points. Um, Made some other props. I was in other films that actually I acted in. And I was my first SAG production, where I played a district attorney, and it never saw the light of day, which happens too. There's, like I said, there's a lot of films that get started and are never finished, unfortunately. But anyways, yeah, so I've got an IMDb page, and you can just go and check out my credits. I've not done a whole heck of a lot. I wouldn't call I'm not a working actor or a big time producer. The other thing is, like, after I got done Dark Limbo, I wrote a script for a short film called 10 Minutes. The word 10, the phrase 10 minutes is like, just give me 10 minutes alone with that person. Oh, you'll see what I'll do to him. And the synopsis of the film is that there's a retired hitman named Dan Murphy, who is dating a girl whose daughter is molested by the school janitor, and he manages to escape justice. Well, Dan Murphy ends up coming out of retirement just to have 10 minutes alone with this sick SOB. And with the help of a corrupt cop that owes him a favor, he gets Henry MacArthur and has him strapped in a chair, kind of Dexter style, and has his 10 minutes with him. It's not so cut and dry because there's conflict and stuff like that. Anyways, after we got done that, that ended up airing at NZO in Orlando on the big screen. Made a lot of contacts were there. And then we just started talking about it. Me and my production partner, Ted Supa, we decided, hey, let's try to make this into a series, And so yeah, we did. We instead of we changed the name to Necessary Evil the series. It's on YouTube. You can watch the first 7 episodes. It's funny because 10 Minutes, it's got Fedor Steer in it. That's the pedophile in 10 Minutes. It's played by Fedor Steer. I've got an interview with Fedor Steer here coming up. It's already done. I just got to edit it. You can see Fedor as one of the ghosts at the end of Dr. Sleep. He plays Vito the Chopper, and you can see him as clear as bell. And he's also in, I don't know, I can't think of the name of the show. It's on Netflix. It's House on Haunted Hill, I guess that's called. And he plays a ghost in that as well. It's very interesting. Anyways, so there you have it. That's what I've been doing. I haven't closed the door on it. It's kind of my focus has shifted on this. I love doing this. It's not to say that I won't make films anymore or continue doing stuff. I do entertain the thought of making another short film based on the fake trailer I made, the creature that came to eat us up. I love Ed Wood. I love David "The Rock" Nelson. I love bad movies. I grew up on them. Bad B movies. I love them. The rubber-suited monsters and stuff like that. And I thought about making a black and white, deliberately bad, comedic horror movie with practical effects. A short horror movie done in 50s style, black and white. Bad practical effects, but entertaining and funny. So I'm throwing around that idea. I mentioned it to somebody who is well known, and they expressed some interest. I'm not gonna mention names right now, but um, anyway, so I'm kicking around that idea. If you want, go check out that fake movie trailer I made. It's called "The Creature That Came to Eat Us Up." That wouldn't necessarily be the title. That's just what came off at the top of my head when I was throwing this thing together. And it was just supposed to be a bonus thing that I did after I made the alien biocontainment chamber. I said, screw it, let me just play around and then make a fake little movie trailer out of this thing. Because, I mean, it took me a long time to build that thing. And figured, what the hell, might as well get a little something extra out of it, and give everyone a little something extra to watch as a result of it. I mean, because now it's just sitting packed away. After it's done, it's like I show you guys, and then hopefully you build one or don't build one, I don't know, or you try something different. But then it just goes in there and sits until Halloween when I decide what I'm going to do with it. I thought maybe I can use it to make a film. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if you guys would be interested in watching something like that. Anyway, so how do you make a movie? Well, you got to move the body. That's basically what you have to do. If you're interested in making a film, I do know the recipe and the secrets and how you can do it. It's a little easier depending on what part of the country you're from. Where I'm from, it's pretty easy to go downtown and say, hey, do you mind if I use this bar on a Sunday before you open and shoot a couple of scenes, and I'll put your name in the credits, give you this or that, and maybe I'll throw you a few bucks. You can feed us for lunch or whatever. People are receptive. You go to places like in LA, they're jaded and they're used to filmmakers running around. They want money. You go to Orlando, Florida, they want money. It's because they are used to that. And places like in LA, you're expected to get a permit. There's a lot of red tape. You got to pay and get a permit. So it's a little harder depending on where you are in the country, but not impossible. I could tell you how you can get your actors, and there's a whole recipe that I followed in order to make this happen. And you could do it too. If I can do it, you can do it too. A movie that I hold dear to my heart, the thing that I watched that motivated me to start making films was a documentary called American Movie. I watched this documentary, excuse me, that stars Mark Borchardt, Mike Shank, and Kenny Keene, all up there in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And basically, it's this guy that's pretty much way down on his luck, has a struggle with alcohol, lives with his parents, and delivers newspapers. That's his only soul's means of income, but his dream is to become a filmmaker and make feature films. Well, he ends up making a short film called Coven. It's a good film. I like it. It's black and white, and you can actually watch that film on YouTube. Anyways, the whole thing was just so inspiring because this guy he was met with dead end after dead end after dead end, and some problems like with alcohol, and there's just life issues. He still managed to push forward and get it done. And it really inspired me because I thought, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. Since then, I've gone to Milwaukee and I've met Mark Borchardt. I've talked to Kenny Keene on the phone repeatedly. In fact, I think I just talked to him a week and a half ago. I've talked to Mike Shank. I've kept in touch with these guys, and I have had an open invitation if I'm up in Milwaukee that I could help Mark work on his next film. I believe he's working on Coven too. I don't know. I'm suspicious. He's a very tight-lipped person. He's making a movie. He's just not free-ranged with information as to what. But he's given me an open invitation if I make it back up there again that I could help. And so that's an honor. That's really an honor. I've rubbed elbows with different celebrities. there's a few that I'm working on doing interviews with, people that I've actually had meetings with about participation in projects that I've had going on. Um, but I'm not gonna divulge too much on that. I don't want to jinx it. Anyways, so that's that. If any of you guys are interested in trying to make your own film and would like me to make a video on breaking down everything that you would need to do from A to B, um, to help you get going, let me know down there in the comments. I'd be more than happy to do it. Um, so I guess for now that's enough. I hope all of you are safe and healthy, and I hope this made you forget about everything there for a little bit. And then till tomorrow, I appreciate you guys. Peace.